Good morning. Certain GW systems. It might be that there's some non-bound data involved, so it's not seeing the change propagation. But I'd have to know a little bit more about what's going on. Where was that? Oh, okay. Well, that's a brute force way to do it. Okay, so we've got our own little thing. There may have been versions of that that were... Actually, this is... Oh, yep, the data binds. And some of that stuff changed. Or, no, not the same file. Hmm. Let's see. Hmm. So model.selection isn't a thing. I've forgotten how this works in the game, but that might just be a general parent object. So system should cause that to be recomputed. Well, I mean, so you're like seeing that the function ran, but it was the UI that didn't update? Well, I mean, there is... Well, formatted string, formatting it, sure. Uh, what do we got? Is it this one? Yeah. All right, so default state of this is dev. Okay. Nope, not that one. This one. Give me white icons. Man, PA's gotten slow to start up. So that's only used in system surface area. Okay, so you don't tag your versions. Oh, so you just didn't push them up to GitHub. Oh, really? Is that something with the way, Yeah, but usually when I fetch something, it gets all the tags. Also interesting that it defaults... I guess there's some sort of flag for the default branch. Or did you link me to a branch? No? Hmm. Wait, so I guess it's this view for current context doesn't show tags? Uh, Tags, well, maybe this UI is doing something weird. But tags don't care about branches. Oh, unless you do something weird. Okay. Okay, so that's how you separate the tag stuff. Uh, Well, maybe the weird part of it is that you're doing all of these changes only on the master branch. But normally I would expect tags to still end up on kind of referring back to the actual thing. So if you have a separate branch where you edit it and then merge that into master. Hmm. Anyway. Yeah, you talked about the precision thing, which was weird. Now that might get into a thing with like JavaScript always being floats. But I mean that shouldn't have. Okay, that's down in. That's different. Hmm. Yeah, it does a bunch of the database stuff. Yeah, that's seems very, very peculiar. Although actually, and that shouldn't affect this, I don't think. We want. Might have. No, because I never set that up, and I have to kind of clear mods a lot when I'm doing the dev stuff. Uh, Here 14, 282. Oh, I only have two options here. Shoot, what was the... Actually, no, these are freebies. Yeah. Hmm. Okay, so that's another 254. Could be accidental. Uh... Actually, dev mode would kind of do it, because that would give you all the detailed information. No, actually not main. Main is not main. Although it's in here too. Now, you are a function. You're bool, okay. But I might have to get into the system to... So that's the AI stuff. It doesn't really have system stuff in here. Selection. Got a lot of general stuff. It's a little bit better. Yeah. System view model. So we've got star and we've got planets, which I suspect is function, so it's probably an array. Array, observable array. Diabastron, mass, position. Radius 450. Radius 550. So those should actually be different. And what's interesting is that it's like consistently these two. And I don't know why it's those two. So we're going to a different number of factions here. That could be a top level thing. Okay, so there's formatted string, model.system surface area. This is only happening in a single case right now. And it is generator dot radius. Okay. We have to reconnect here. Oh, no. No, I keep not having time to update. Oh, the latest. Oh, this is the broken version of the mod. PA is not particularly updated. Okay, so that function is definitely being called. And that's the only place it's being called. So it's like trying to do that? So the question then is, what is doing this? Okay, loaded HTML only happens once. Apply bindings to model. I am rusty on my KO. And of course, we're probably on a very old version. You happen to know the version offhand? Oh, there we go, 3.4. This is not that far behind. Unfortunately, this does not suggest a way to get alternate versions. Why did I do root there? Binding context. The view model object in the parent context. Data bind with manager parent. Grandparent, grandparent. This is the main view model object in the root context. Root dot, root dot, root dot. Name, because we are in a system owner context. FFA opponents, now we're in a context for the data bindings. Model.system surface area is a function which gets evaluated. So whichever one we do first. Okay, and it returns a different string. All right, so it's calling the function, so it realizes that something needed that thing to be called. You said changing the precision changed the results. And it is... should be less than 1,000. Okay, precision didn't do it for me. Different workaround. We went from a table to class really? So that's like structurally the same in terms of number of elements. And it's still data bound. I don't know. I thought there might be something in like the data binding path, but that wasn't triggering an update. But that just feels like a KO bug. Okay, and it's not. Well, I wanted to say that it's not that we didn't load this twice, but this did trigger. Maybe that was during the reload process? What would, what would... So it's only used in one place. Now, granted, we are doing a reload here to test things, which means that that is still kind of lingering somewhere. Okay. All right, so that presumably is now properly unloaded. So we still get it once before we say loaded HTML. Oh, it's a compute. It probably has to run it once to say it's hi, I'm a computed. Also, I don't know why it's these two. Well, right. My suspicion is it's the number of... So it decides that there's sufficient structural similarity there, I guess? But it's definitely updating that. So what is that doing? Threat, personality. So we are doing... That's doing a top level bind. Okay, so you were doing just... oh, you were doing lists with tables, but it was inside the top level bind. Could we do something silly like... I mean, I guess that wouldn't necessarily cause that thing to update. Or the parent update. Yeah. Uh-oh. Do you have a system problem? Yeah. Huh. So this is a... I mean, this is a top level thing. I'm not really sure what you would data bind it to. Ooh. So I can see model, well, no, I mean, it's definitely running this function. It just somehow decides it doesn't need to update. I'm just wondering, can we, like, bind the parent of this to... Well, I have to bind a property? Because normally you do like a for each or something to get individual objects. I mean, I guess there's... You could do this kind of literal thing. Oh, data bind with. That's actually what I was trying to do earlier and probably didn't make any sense. And I don't think root would actually really change, so it shouldn't matter. What if we did... What was it, system first? But then we just did root here. I mean, I'd have to like insert that into like the system to calculate the area or something. That would be a method of there. Well, that kind of, that's an alternate workaround for you. I mean, you've already got a workaround, but it seems like it's probably a KO bug. Yeah, it's still evaluating only once. But for whatever reason, it decides like, well, table, tr, td, too much is the same. I'm not going to evaluate this. I mean, maybe it was evaluating that just because it was a computed and not really realizing it needed to evaluate the template. Well, here's another sort of top level thing that is being correctly evaluated. Yeah, so I don't know. It seems like maybe it's being lazy about how far down it goes to update. That doesn't fit my model of how it works. But this is a sort of dummy binding that will force it to evaluate this subsection of the DOM again. And I guess since these are system things, well, modifying like some of these system objects they're not designed to be modified. So actually making it a thing where you would make that a property of system might not be easy. Because they often define the game objects as closed things that aren't easily modifiable. So yeah, particularly with the precision thing, I'm tempted to think that's some sort of KO bug. And I don't know why it cared about tables versus things with table-like classes, because if anything, I would expect it to be like, okay, depth of the tree and, overall structure of the nodes, but that had exactly the same structure. So, yeah, I don't know. There might be a better explanation, but you'd kind of have to like get a copy of the KO source and start tracing through that to figure out what it's doing and why it's updating or not updating, and that would be a pretty big tangent there. Yeah, well, yeah, that'd be more of a me thing, but as far as getting a real answer, yeah, it's not really designed for extension, and I fell out of PA before I got around to doing like a complete rewrite of Galactic War to make that reasonable. All right, client mods. I already had one. Okay. Oh, or I've still got something open on it. No, not that one. Oh, did it just fail? Oh, nope. It's also... All right, well, I guess I just cloned it again. I've actually got that repository there. Wait. Didn't I? Okay, I guess it just popped up that dialog. All right. All right, so we had this thing. Oop, I didn't want to drag that. Which it right now is going to default to being the entire arc. All right, does nothing with life data. We have no play button. And what's our default state? So that's going to be the same. I don't. Oops, no, that's the wrong way. Well, got to go a little bit to actually find anything. Oh, I probably haven't updated data on this server. So meanwhile, oh, it's probably, yeah, actually, maybe I should do something in here just so it's in this window. However, this is going to be based on the arc. Oh, do I have a state problem here? Oh, you just don't integrate. Well, I mean, time probably should. But maybe it's completely unintegrated. Oh, this is actually going to be a challenge because I don't parse this in Elm right now. And last I recall, that was extremely painful. All right, so where are we? Let's see, view. Vent. Or did I skip over my other matching lives? No, it's matching. Okay, so that is, so right now, yeah, it's the JSON value. JSON.decode. No. It's like decode value? Okay. And it wants, did I perchance import JSON decode? Okay, that thing is that decode. Um, yeah, no, it's still responsive. Okay, well, that actually wasn't so bad. Now, maybe it realized that was not useful. Yeah, okay, maybe that was the wrong period. That wasn't so bad. That's a little bit more bad, but I don't think that, that would actually be affected all that much by... There's always going to be, like, mostly loading time. So it's weird, because I'd swear when I first did that, it was, like, painfully slow. Yeah, that didn't seem particularly different. I don't know if I have a way to time stuff in JavaScript. Oh, except maybe I just had a straight up error and wasn't running new code. Okay, yeah. That explains that. Well, that still wasn't terrible. Now, this debug log might actually be a pretty significant bit of time here. Okay, that was actually nothing? Okay, fetch, 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 fetch. I mean, there was a bump there. There's a lot of data. So I'd swear that was like super painful when I did it before. I guess this is where I do have to ask, did I actually get something useful out of it? Or did it just error out? Okay. Maybe I can actually handle that data here. Oh, maybe the issue was like re-encoding it to send over. If I like decode it, re-encode it, decode it on the other end, that whole chain might be painful. And that would get into a lot more string generation too. But I could decode this to get the range of values without having to go ask, you know, there might still be an efficiency argument for asking JavaScript for their range. So data layer. Set data layers. So this used to be where we did set the range of the time control. I don't think this will ever update. Like you can take this thing and drag it around. That will cause a lot of time updates. I don't think data layer updates are ever going to come in at that kind of pace. So there's probably not a timing issue there. And hey, look, we're already calculating our min and a max. Okay, that's going to be an event. Oh. We probably don't need a time load event anymore, huh? Well, I pretty much made it a no-op. Okay. So overlay add, move end, toggle, select points. Was I ever... That's the easiest way to map it. Yeah, we're kind of thinking of that as a message. Select points. What happened to you? And it's going to be map 2. All right, now... time range. If let data range I don't know, anything's going to happen in response to that. could have possibly been a much smaller one. I mean, arguably, we should reset our current time to be within that range. Or probably even... I'm gonna have to think about whether that needs to immediately... I already did something that... Oh, right, if you select arc... it's not server range. Oh, that would involve... Well, I know it definitely involves arc range. Time selection for time. Oh, you're a maybe. Fetch data for time. I thought there was something that clamped my... Yeah. Oh, select server. So it's more of an ad hoc basis. But we do have... Let's see, if we fetch lives, we just want to make... We don't necessarily want to change it if it's in range. We do want to make sure it's in range. I mean, that could make sense. Oh. What's the units of my min and max? The birth time. I'm thinking of birth times and... Oh, I put death times in the data, but I never needed them to parse it out here. So you're thinking of it as a POSIX, but that might be... a conversion that's happening here. Yes. So the value we're going to get back from there actually is a seconds. Whereas you want to think, yes. And leaflet, elm. And then I had my encode timestamp. What's encode timestamp? We also have the code timestamp. Oh, wait. Decode.timestamp did that conversion for us. So that should be all POSIXes, right? Oh, because data range still has the wrong type. Oh, I need to pass the time value to in range somewhere. And it wants... Oh, because I was doing a filter before. So actually... Now, we're not updating into that layer or something. 912. Did that change? 1114, 454. Right, that would be up to the data update time, and then it's about 1109. So we're not updating other stuff, but we are updating that. So this just seems like I just have to send time events to the life layer. Update tiles. Now it's a function. Anim overlay.update tiles. That's not well set up for this one. Maplog sprite. Oh, is that because you used to be getting called from the automatic play event? Maplog update tiles. I might not want to do that. Okay, you're getting the message. But I changed the way time kind of got handled here, I believe. So we're setting time to there. We're also passing it to draw tile. Okay, so there's two different things here. There's a lot of draw tiles. Well, no, I can say time divided by 1,000. You're being overridden with that. Why would it... If the time was wrong, I would expect to just get a blank display. We're not going to put into proper time mode. Okay. Because I've got this up for development. So I still don't have this, like, initial state sorted properly. So I sort of don't... Because you have to set the option so that if you load new tiles, they have the time. But this is saying if time in options, well, we're still doing an or equals, so the past time still takes precedent. So what am I doing to communicate the anim state to this? Toggle anim overlay. Message.status. But that's really based on... Oh, this is just the controls. And I still need to do something with this to properly represent the state it's in, which actually might help from a feedback perspective. Now this, they probably should have something for this too. How do I represent this becoming a close? So I made my own little map button, which is just a very simple HTML. SVG icon, leaflet control map button toggle. Yeah, so I got a bunch of styling on that. So how do I know when I'm in animated mode? Well, I mean, I guess you can kind of tell from that. Or maybe the problem is that data layer doesn't react to that setting. Set data layers. Data overlay is like a parent. Yeah, it's a layer group. Yeah, point overlay and anim overlay. So that should be independent of our animation state. But point overlay is our default. Where do I toggle you? Oh, you just fall under the general alternate thing. Yeah, alternate anim. Alternate static. Point overlay. Now, my initial state for the map does properly do that. Data overlay, message status. Oh, you know what? I also had the tweak on the map. How it initialized that. Mostly just to kind of keep things moving. So we need to put this in my to-do list. So this is literally just And there was no activity at this time. Okay, so that sets up our range. Okay, that was a typo. So actually, I guess I should take that out of here. All right, so right now I'm doing a thing like the old time, which actually, which means I'm going to need to touch my icon set anyway. Which that would be a good time to look for like a close button or something on these. Okay, if I need to rebuild it, that's what we've got. All right, selection 8. Okay. Okay, well, okay, that is in fact this project. So we want player buttons. I never really used the jump buttons in the old ones, so I might leave that out for now. Oh, we do have some optional things. I don't really have a circle thing going on. Actually, eject would be kind of a cute way to do exit from time mode. Might not be the clearest thing, though. One thing I was thinking about is either by toggling a sublayer or by replacing the control, I could have like an overlaid X button. So it still indicated what it was toggling a bit. Okay, yeah, so there's the data funnel. It's like, surely there's some sort of generic. Oh, actually. Where's the time? I think that's a different size circle. Well, that might actually be kind of nice for that one. It's pretty close to being the same kind of circle. Oh, I guess the circles must have been the first stop, so that's stop 2. Play 3? Oh, maybe that would count as a play. Okay, so mostly the same. We just need to get... Well, I should be able to see this in the diff, actually. If I retitled a few things. Okay. Okay, maybe I didn't retitle any of them? Oh, but some of this is actually going to be in work. I need specifically the one in... Yeah, public. Wait. Oh, some of them are just very, very simple paths. Okay. Right. So what I wanted immediately was... I don't remember if that becomes... Yeah. Those may have just worked out. We'll see. All right, so we've got icon Oh, yeah, icon users. Okay, so those here were only used in those headers. And it looks like I font sized just those a little bit. So now I need timeline. So right now we've just got that with the current time. So that is going to be a potentially variable width thing. All right, so it is a row, which means it has columns. And I don't know if I need that yet. I might. That's probably not any smaller than the other button was. Of course, I actually do have to turn this into a button, not just an icon. Let me guess. Oops. Well, actually, the tabs. We're pretty close to this. Okay, no, actually, this is something different. But it's an icon button, so it works. The sizing parameters might be a little bit different. Do I have like a no-op? Message none. A maybe message? Oh, because it might do nothing. Oh, in which case we could just have it do nothing. All right, so that probably makes the button a little wider. I don't mind the padding as much. Or rather, some padding might be good. What does it look like without it? Same old, same old. I don't want this to be too big. But that is kind of tiny also. It's a little bit better. Oh, shoot. Is there a traditional order for those? Okay, so they didn't... Oh, though the play turned into a pause. That's Actually, do I need to stop? There's not really any differences there. Okay, they did have some padding on there. Might be a little bit smaller, though. Yeah, the button might be a little bit smaller. So actually, check model.data animated. So really, for clarity, you'd like to have different messages. Oh wait, no, this is something different. We have not had a play state before. We have animated in this sense, but not in this sense. Is there no concept of margin? We have padding and spacing. Uh, Actually, I wouldn't mind you having some pre-padding. That might have been the width argument. Which it actually might obviate that. Okay. All right, so that helps the offset from that edge a little bit. Well, I mean, the argument there is, let me just make this bigger. All right, so this is going to be hours before. You've gotten animated, right? Toggle animated, that's SARDA related. Where do you send map time from? Oh, from the slider. It's okay. So yeah, the slider would be where you would do that. And I don't really have any information with that. It's just start. Oh, so it has to be adjust, doesn't it? Bye. All right, map time. This is going to be a model state. And really it ends up being a subscription, but we have to keep track of that fact. This is going to be a fact in and of itself. So we can't really use the current time. At the current speed. All right, so init. This actually isn't going to do as much. Now, I could treat this like a virtual checkbox where it's one message. Except I think that the checkboxes actually give us a status. Well, it would still be one message. But maybe there would be other things that would play and stop. No, you don't send anything immediately to Leaflet. Now, there is a detail I want to deal with here in that the other control device thing where if you were at the end of time, when you hit play, it would immediately jump to the beginning. And restart. Okay. Now, I might want to do some frame rate control over at some point, but that's just current time. Well, that does have a different implication. So updating our notice. Play is actually going to advance. I mean, if we had both the animations going on at once, it would be almost silly to not consolidate this. Playing would have the advantage that we could immediately do the stuff that involves playing on that, instead of having to then switch off on whether we're playing here. Now, I think that there used to be two forms of time. or our subscriptions. There used to be the current time and the delta. Yeah, but it's just current time now. So it would be the same thing. Wait a minute. Well, you'll get your notices until a time update says you can update. That's fine. What does playback mean? Playback means we have a map time and we're going to advance that by some ratio that may not be fully defined right now. So before I just had a current time and a target time and we figured out that ratio as needed. Yeah, we have to do something to compare these. Let's see. So we have to figure out so we have our current time, our current map time. We have a next. I guess this really comes down to how much did we advance. So we have a delta time. Model.time. Ooh. When I first hit play, our time might not be up to date. So that first bit could jump quite a lot. And I already have a begin playback. Add a leaflet begin playback. So that actually makes our playing, because we have to know what to subscribe to. So our playing state is not a bool. It is stopped, starting, and running. In which case we could then have one event that handled it. The user's gonna need to know about that. And for now, I'm just having it shared here. Wow. I can leave that until it's a problem. That should almost turn into a... This is really getting kind of obnoxious. Maybe I need to have a data module at some point. That's what we call that player now. And to start needs starting. No, we just need to know whether our current time is good. Oh, if we use the current time, if we have the two events running, they could be getting two different times, they would miss playback. So we can go from our last time. All right, so now you're gonna have a separate subscription. So I was doing, the old player defaulted to 10 frames per second. Can you legitimately have multiple time subscriptions, though? Oh, so arguably, actually, both of these should be... oh, so this has POSIX or delta. but it's always 60 frames per second. That might be okay for that. But I'm not necessarily going to have any feedback about how fast this is performing. So if we weren't able to do that in a timely manner, events would pile up in the port queue. And I don't have any visibility to how big that is. I mean, I guess I could have the front end return feedback on how fast it's dispatching things. Well, no, it's animation frame, so that would be the ideal animation frame. If the browser is actually taking too long to paint, then it should actually slow down the animation frames. And this is in browser, which we've already got. And what we want for the player actually is delta. Which means we don't need the starting state. Or the start time, or the last start time. I can leave the type there for the moment. Might be more convenient to convert it back. Now, I guess I don't know that these will necessarily play nice, having both of these going. But that actually means playback is not going to get a float. Now your number of seconds map time is still a POSIX, right? Oh, it's also a maybe. Code timestamp. So it's talking in milliseconds, but that's actually going to get divided down, I believe. So we don't need to do as much math there. We do need to model.maptime POSIX to millis. It's going to go back to a map time. So that's millis. Or that's a float. That might not give me what I want. Now all of this also so that's for map time. Maybe just do this whole thing in a case, because if we have no map time, we can't really do anything. All right, so this is not updating map time. That time it's updating you. And sending that off. Oh, the other thing we had to do was range checking, which we need to be doing in a space where we can compare things. I mean, I guess time range is also a maybe, but I guess you could go off into forever if you had no time range. So we've got model time range. That is also a maybe. We need the max value. And we need to be able to detect when we have crossed the line. Time range. You are a maybe tuple. Okay, that's not core. Actually, I had an in-range check. Which I guess well, if we go beyond it, I also want to reset to the end. But it's going to look a lot like this. I mean, yeah, I might have to look at what we're doing with that. Well, okay, so that's the... So if MS new time, MS max time, I've got to decode this. Maybe dot map. Yeah, that does it in there. I don't... Maybe that got purposely pulled out of base package. But if it's a maybe, we have to consider... What do we do if time range is not set? Perhaps we should consider that a with default whatever it was. We'll have to have that value. Okay, turn you into your own chain. Tuple.second and math.min. Well, no, I need to know if it crossed the line. Well, so that max time could still be a nothing. What do I do if we don't have a range? We just don't do the check. So if that exists, and if it is greater, but we also want to cap the time. But I guess that would actually be true of this as well, but that might be a nothing. Oh no, that's fine. No, because you might be a nothing. No, because you get a with default. And is it player? And it will never end if we don't have a max. First one's different. Oh, is it just min? I'm taking a JavaScript. Oh, and these are all in milliseconds. So, let's see, capped time. Is the thing we need. Oh, it's browser.events. You probably haven't needed browser.events in here before. What? So probably we typoed something that looks like a different object than Monarch doesn't have a playing field. And yep, I was afraid of that. Number 2 float. Floor, ceiling, truncate. Maybe POSIX. Maybe not map tuple seconds. There is actually a little bit in here. Middle East POSIX. And this is... What the heck is this? It's not 1-to-1. We haven't done any scaling. What the heck is this time scale? Oh, maybe I misinterpreted the units? Oh, time in milliseconds. So that was maybe our frame rate limit was, I guess for some reason I thought that a float would, for some odd reason I thought a float would be seconds. Because do we really need fractions of a millisecond? What? That's not quite right either. So that's only technically floating point. And they don't have a stop button. I guess they should get a stop button first. Just so we can stop it easier. So now the question is, now that we have a type for player, do we actually have like player? Well, I thought I might do some stuff in there. I guess it's technically going to be more of a pause. So you stopped is that. It's like pause 2. Oh, nope. I didn't like something. Okay, so that much works. Now, what the heck? I might have to switch back to real time. Because I feel like this is the delta time of the last frame, but we're not getting every frame. Time equals message.time. Oh, I'm also not showing this down to second resolution because I was using my old time formatter, which didn't need to go that far. So maybe it's fine. which means I probably should have a time formatter for these kinds of things. Interesting that we can get some very, very small frames sometimes. View format month, date. Yeah. I mean, they're both date times. So arguably, I could just take I didn't really need to do anything else with the stuff. Okay, that seems more reasonable. All right, so now we actually did have some time scaling parameters. Now this was per frame counting on the frame rate of the other. I think I actually did put frame rate up here. Oh, so I went for telling it to do a frame rate. I just don't have a UI for it. Right, so you go down to 1, that goes up to 10. I really want to actually just redo this UI. To be a ratio of times. So the fastest we can go is 1 second per second. Well, there's how fast you want, there's the period you want to view it in and the period you want to view. Now actually the period you want to view it in is going to be defined by your arc, or the period to be viewed is going to be defined by the arc or whatever. Now this is 1 hour per frame. So that doesn't let you express everything you'd want. Well, I guess that the maximum range would always be the current time range, whatever that worked out to. Yeah, I don't think saying the total playback time is necessarily how I want to do things. because you might select different sized periods and still want to have a kind of a constant playback rate between them. So I was defaulting to 1 minute per frame, 10, so that would be like 10 minutes per second. So we really need to redo our data model. Don't necessarily care about frame rates. Now, it doesn't let you do like floating point rate things, but I mean, the per second stuff is going to be very much on the fast end of this. Oh, that would be seconds. 1 game minute. Yeah, that would be. That would be 600 seconds per second. So the view is going to have to give us that leaflet begin playback. Actually, does begin playback even mean anything anymore? It means the same thing as current time. Maybe. No, not even quite. So I think begin playback is... Okay, so I might have to fix that first. Have we really done anything? Not really. Oh, and did I actually... We got a play mode. Got a pause. So I probably should have done this anyway. And now I don't have a checkpoint to revert to. Yep, and we didn't clean up. I guess I just closed the window? All right, so a whole map. Wait, what? Okay, I guess I overdid that? I guess we get rid of the sending side first. Okay, so start time is just current time. Frame rate doesn't matter. Wait, so what's modeled at start time? Oh, okay, so that's start time. Well, that means I should be setting map time as well, if we're really doing that. stays with model, begin playback at relative start time. Well, that has to get the current time. So there is something to that. Oh, so in these situations, we have to start playback, but we don't necessarily have the time yet. So the more direct translation of that would be this. But we also have to get this time. I might need to have some kind of, well, relative to says do our period. I could put that into here, though. Or would we always get the current time and then decide what to do with it in the response? Because both setting our current map time and maybe using that. We have to do one switch on time mode for current map time. Which actually, that I might want to do regardless of... No, I would not necessarily want to reset time there. If we're in an animated view and we get more data, do I even want this to auto start? Once upon a time I did. Oh, this might have been for yesterday mode. So that we go ahead and fetch the data and, which I haven't even been using. Maybe we just skip this. And that leaves a dummy command batch, but it just... I suspect this was for yesterday, and I kind of had to wait till I had the data layer. Data animated true. Fetch recent lives. Yeah, so that's when that's going to come back. So we fetch data, we're already in animation mode. Now let's start time. Maybe we should have already set the current time. For that specific scenario. Model.current arc. Play relative to time.now. Maybe this turns into a different message that sets the current time relative to time.now. Or sets the map time relative to time.now. And then when this comes back, if we're animated, we just have to start playing. The only other situation you would do this would be if you were playing and you did a new data selection. Which, I mean, I guess if it was not in this range, that might make sense. No, when? Well, okay, if it's current arc. I might need to reinvent this from first principles. Because things have changed a lot. And that will be in source control if we need it. Oh, playback scale. That's kind of another dead one. Okay. Actually, I should probably take another look at Leaflet. Set view, current time, current server, arc list, monument list, data layer. Yeah, those all seem reasonable. Move in, select points, data range. Right, we need the time scale to be different. We're going to need, this is probably going to be more of a full conversion, but that's probably going to be a full switch. And really, you're just going to be a switch. So this has to be at least times 10 to get the range we had before. Game seconds per frame. All right, so that's the UI. Okay, 10 minutes, same default. It's a logarithmic, so it's kind of farther up our range, unfortunately. 1 minute. 600 minutes. Yeah, I guess my scaling there didn't game time text. Minutes, seconds. Yeah, that starts to need. Oh, you kind of should have been on this line. No, that's. 600 minutes. Yeah, 600 minutes is crazy. 60 seconds times 60 minutes. Which actually that makes that an even smaller number. And we already were not reaching our... Oh, nope, there we go. Oh, but this needs to be what? It started working, we're just not cutting down our minutes. And it still says per frame. Maybe I should reframe that as per minute. It'd give you smaller numbers. What would you do in 1 second per... Oh, it would be 60 seconds game time per minute. Wait, do you not... So it'd probably have to be the same, sort of the same scale, and then I just display it differently. Because that might be a little bit hard to grok. All right, but we're not using that yet. That was a floating point. This is an integer. So we kind of have to do the round. This is in milliseconds right now, but it should still just be a time scale. If it's 1, we're 1 to 1. So our default is 10 minutes per second. Which before we were locked to 10 per, so you kind of saw the digits going differently there. Actually, I'm kind of curious. Does a bigger window... yeah, I think we're seeing some bouncing there that indicates it's probably running a little bit slower. Now, I might want an actual frame rate option at some point. Well, I can't really do that with animation frame, can I? And now maybe now that I'm doing a custom control, I could do similar to they did and have this down there, but this is not a long-term UI here. A little useful thing. When we get a play message, we should be able to check for exactly equal. I'm not sure you can do that with the POSIX. And, well, it should really be greater than or equal to, but... oh, they're both maybes. So that sort of works out, actually. Can I do an equal comparison on POSIX? Weird syntax. All right, so it doesn't be POSIX. So that's just parentheses. Okay. Yay. This did get a little sprawling here. It doesn't help much. Now we're off by 1. All right. And then what this should allow me to do is to go back into here and reload the map and have it stay there. Also, with that, well, I had a to-do list. Right. So I'm not quite done yet. I've got to put things back into a more normal state. Well, I guess I need to deal with the layers when we start out in animation mode. And then we get back into switching. Or what happens if we turn it on when we don't really have a reasonable time range? And then I might have to fix yesterday mode. And I had kind of a late start today, but I think I have to stop at some point. And that, altogether, that so this is a little hard to think about. That might be some refactoring. And think about what this even means. So probably, I mean, no one's complaining about the ability to link to these old times right now, so probably we don't want to try releasing that. So that is probably going to be it for now. I don't think any of those are going to be super fast or going to necessarily, well, this is like technically internal, but it's going to be nice for testing. That will make no sense if you do it right now. It was a feature I had. I don't use it as much, but it was there. So, yeah. But I want to have lunch so I can come back and play some Oxygen Not Included. So thanks for watching. Thanks to everybody who hosted me. Okay. Thank you. And this is about when I'm usually on, so it's a little bit late today. Let's see, do I have anything else to recommend right now? Well, I was answering a little mod question earlier. I see somebody working on a mod tool for, I think it's Star Sector? Not one I know, but somebody I've looked at doing some development in the past, and thought they were doing a pretty good job of it. Oh! Twitch has some autocomplete stuff now. Interesting, okay. So you can find out what all those chat commands are. Anyway, if you're looking for someplace cool to hang out, Digital Tectonics is someplace cool to hang out. Thanks for hanging out with me. Goodbye, and until next time. Uh-oh. Except it messed up my browser scroll, so I can't see the control thing for it anymore. There it is. Cool. All right. Have fun.